Next is our superintendent's report, and I will turn this over to Dr. Hefner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I think one thing I would comment on this evening, of course, we're busy as we enter the very final days of the school year, and hoping to keep everything on track as we roll toward our last day of school on June 3rd and our graduations on June 4th. I hope you've all got that down, and we'll look forward to that. One thing I did want to report on this evening, I think it was about 2 meetings ago, Dr. Melton shared with you what we were doing with regard to the criteria that we'll use with regard to teacher evaluation under the new mandates that we're receiving. And as she told you at that time, our faculty advisory group has been working on this for the entire year, and they met last week and made their final recommendations, and that's been received as a consensus report. And so, Dr. Milton, if you would just share with the board what our teachers ended up with regard to how we would handle teacher evaluation under the new state system.
Certainly. Thank you, Dr. Hefner. Madam Chair, board members, on the 22nd of April, I brought to you the initial report. We took your recommendation to put the video online of our presentation that afternoon. So it's been available to all of our teachers to see. But as Dr. Hefner said, our Faculty Advisory Council members have been instrumental throughout this process to make sure that we could say with confidence that our teachers have had a voice in making these decisions. So the decision finalized as of Thursday of last week, we are looking to go with a model of district choice, which means there's 3 different prongs to this evaluation system that District 5 will be implementing. One will be significant student growth. That's where our teachers will be writing student learning goals, SLOs that we're calling for abbreviation, student learning goals, objectives, to make sure that students are growing throughout the year that they're with the teachers. That's going to be weighed at 20%, followed by professional practice. And just to remind you what that is, that's a typical teacher evaluation instrument that's been used in South Carolina for quite some time. That's going to be 50% of the evaluation score. And then the final 30% is going to be district choice. And our faculty advisory asked for that to be reflection. So after teachers have either had observations or done activities, perhaps attend professional development, they will then do something in writing to answer some questions that we give to them in a rubric that they will be submitting to their administrative that is involved with their evaluation process. The next step for us is going to be, obviously, we're communicating it back to our teachers through our Faculty Advisory Council, and Dr. Jakes and I are working on the plan to submit to the state by June the 1st. So we're going to take the guidance of our Faculty Advisory to then put things into writing so that we can plan for the 15-16 school year. One note I'd like to make sure is cleared up for all of you is this is going to impact all of our pre-K through 5th grade teachers in the coming year, plus our induction teachers, which means our first year, our new hires in School District 5. So the state of South Carolina is planning to implement this slowly over time, but our emphasis will be on, for the coming year, pre-K through 5. In addition to that, our induction teachers that are the first year teachers. Dr. Hefner, that completes that report.
Thank you very much, Dr. Milton, and we appreciate your work on this, and we appreciate very much our Faculty Advisory Council devoting all the time that they have devoted to this to really solicit the input of our teachers in this. We appreciate that. All right, we'll now go to our monthly report from the Office of Design and Construction. Mr. McAllister.
Have Barry Evans here from Cummings Corporation to give you an update for the month.
Thank you, Keith. Madam Chairman, Dr. Hefner, members of the board, it's a pleasure to be here this evening to again bring you the monthly update for the new Chapin Middle School. First, I would like to say that there's a lot of good things going on this site now that the weather's kind of backed off of us. There's a lot of proactive things that we're able to do to prepare ourselves for any inclement weather that comes at us in the future. I would like to bring to your attention that some of the notable things are that the roof system itself is about 98% complete. The masonry, including the brick veneer, is almost done. The only area that's not done would be the back side of the building, back left corner if you were facing facing the building. You know, the windows are going in, the exterior metal panels are going in. The road widening work is progressing weekly. One real nice thing is that down the center section of the building, the skylight system, the glass is in, which now when it rains, the water won't saturate us from the middle working outward. So that's a good thing. The kitchen hood is now in the kitchen and installed, and they are in the process of leveling it out and getting it ready for the connections to be made to it. Even the stone veneer is getting ready to be laid on the outside. There is some stone on the inside, but the stone veneer on the outside is going to really look nice. And the scratch coat or the backboard for the stone is being installed, and the stone should, I look for pieces of the stone to begin to actually go up. Do they? When I was there this morning, they looked like they were getting ready to start, and Mr. McAllister said that they have started that today, which is good news. Everything is, again, being done that can be done to assure an opening of the next school year. Next, I'd like to share with you some of the photos that we have. We have two aerial photos, one from the front elevation and the other from the rear elevation. Again, these are overall site, so sometimes the fact that the grass or the paving is not in will mislead you, but the rear of the building is actually almost completed. Here we have the corner where the last bit of brick veneer will be going on the administrative corner of the building. And down the center section, it's kind of hard to see in these pictures. It's kind of hard to get a good picture, but the skylight systems are in, and what you see there is the metal framing that will need to be wrapped by sheetrock. Once that's wrapped with sheetrock and painted, then it'll all kind of tie together. Here what we have is a typical interior classroom where you can see the window systems in, some prime paint on the wall. You can see the ceiling grid system there ready for the ceiling tile to be installed. The other picture is a typical classroom corridor down one of the classroom wings, and that's a pretty good picture of what it looks like today looking down the corridor areas. What we have here is again the classroom wing elevation on the administrative entrance side. You can see the glass windows in the classroom wing, and you can see the bulk of the brick veneer is completed. We have some metal wall panels that will be installed between some of these exterior windows, and I think that'll start to really dress up the exterior. Keep in mind that the metal wall panels aren't necessarily on the critical path. They're more of an architectural aesthetic feature, but they are being installed around the perimeter of the building. The other picture, if you look between the classroom wings close, you'll see a brown area up against the building. That's actually what they call the scratch coat system, is used as a backer for the stone veneer that is actually laid over the top of it. I think we finished up with a pic. I believe that's all the pictures that I recall. Are there any questions regarding this monthly update?
Are there any questions from the board members? Ms. Hammond?
It's on schedule just for the public's knowledge. It's on schedule for the next school year to be finished.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So that's our.
Everything looks to still be a go with that.
Mr. Evans, when you bring another report back about Chapin Middle School, can you put the rendering of the school on the report? We haven't seen that in a while.
You haven't? Yes, ma'am. I can, if it exists, I'll be happy to get a hold of that and
Okay.
have it added to the report.
Okay, that would just be nice to
Okay.
put some of this in perspective. Any other questions? Okay, all right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Thank you, Mr. McAllister. Before we go to our monthly financial report, as we look at the final phases of the building at Chapin Middle, I am reminded of where we were 3 years ago with the Center for Advanced Technical Studies, and what a exciting process that was. And as most of our board members know, not only is the building exciting, what's more exciting is what's going on inside that building and what's been going on over the past 3 years. And last week, Dr. Couch, under his leadership, we held the Innovation Conference on Education and the Workforce there with a big, huge crowd, a turnout, a major presentation by Dr. Bill Daggett, a huge success. And we know that people are coming from all over to find out what's happening here. We have our third delegation from China coming here this year. Will be here next week, I guess. And I think one of the stats which makes me very proud and hopefully will make our community proud is that in this year alone, as of last week, we had 9,765 visitors at the center this year. 9,765. We have a shot at hitting 10,000 visitors before the year is over. So we certainly give our commendation to Dr. Couch and his staff. And while brick and mortar is exciting, what's even more exciting are the programs that go inside the spaces we create. So thank you very much, and we look forward to what Ms. Miller will be able to create inside this new space we just saw this evening. All right, at this time, we'll go to our monthly financial reports from our Chief Finance Officer, Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Dr. Hefner, members of the board. In Exhibit C of your board packet, you have the monthly financial statements for the month of April, which means we're 10/12 through the year. On the first page, you have the schedule of revenues for the month of April. And once again, we'll report to you that we do not have any local revenue showing for the month of April. However, it has come in since the end of the month. The April revenue has. And as of April 30th, we're about 17% remaining on our budget for revenues. Flip on over, we have obviously a breakdown of all of our expenditures so far this year. I will draw your attention to the very last page, where we have approximately 28% of our budget remaining, $45 million out of an approximate $163.3 million budget. That concludes my report, but I'll be glad to address any specific questions that you may have.
Are there any questions for Mr. Richardson? All right. Thank you very much.
I guess I'm still on.
Yeah, you're still up.
Okay, I have some capital budget reports for you. I'm going to go through these briefly, and then I'm going to ask Scott Carlin to come up and just give you a brief overview of what we've done with some of the capital budgets. The first one in your packet, and by the way, this is Exhibit D. The first report is on the bond referendum projects. And I'll draw your attention to page 3 of that, which is the ongoing construction of Chapin Middle School, with an approximate remaining balance of $4.2 million out of a $27 million budget. And then I'll go to the last page, where out of a $269 million building program, we have approximately $7.5 million left in our referendum projects. Be glad to try to answer any questions.
How much did you say? 500?
That we have left?
In that building fund? I missed what you said. How
I'm
much?
s-
I'm sorry.
About $7.5 million.
I put 5.
Mr. Richardson, that $7.5 million, is that already encumbered?
No, ma'am. That is the unencumbered balance
Okay.
as of now.
So, Very impressive.
What can we use that for?
All right. Any other questions? Ms. Hammond?
That was my thinking, kind of, was it already specified? So it would be up to, do we wait as we finish the project to know that it might be needed, or can it be money back for other needs?
I'm gonna say that it will all be used by the end of these projects.
Okay, with the projects, okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Oh, I have two more.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was trying to get you off easy, wasn't I?
The next one in your packet is for the 2014 capital budget. I will draw your attention to the last page on this one. Out of a total budget of approximately $11.5 million, you'll see a zero balance. We have closed this one out. So you will not be seeing this report anymore. Be glad to try to answer any questions you might have on it. Last but not least is the 2015 capital budget, which is still ongoing, obviously. And once again, out of $11.5 million, we currently have about a $2.5 million unencumbered remaining balance. I can't even talk tonight. Be glad to try to answer any questions that you may have, but I will ask Mr. Carr to come up and give you a brief overview of what we've done with this.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Hefner, senior staff. Thank you for the opportunity to just give you a brief update on where we stand on the budgets. I say budgets because at any one time, unfortunately, we tend to be in at least two budgets with capital because, unfortunately, we're limited, of course, to our summers to get a lot of this work accomplished. Like Mr. Richardson said, we have recently closed out the 13-14 FY capital budget, and we are singularly in the 14-15 budget. Of course, you recently passed the 15-16 budget, which we're aggressively working now to get ready for this coming summer. But we do have a few projects yet to complete in this current year, the 14-15 budget. Those projects include some landscaping. You'll remember the last couple of board meetings, or the last couple of capital updates, I showed you some progress pictures from Irmo Elementary School, where we did landscape the back of the campus as well as Dutch Fork High School. We're doing some work at Leapart Elementary School right now. And of course, we hope to close the landscaping portion out this summer. We also have some parking that we intend to install at Chapin Elementary School. We're working that now. A little bit of playground work at Oak Point Elementary School, and then finally we're completing upgrading the athletic fields at Spring Hill High School, and that work should be starting very soon. To close out the 13 and 14 budget, we completed the greenhouse. I showed you some pictures of that last capital update, and then we also finished the tennis court upgrades at Dutch Fork High School and Irmo High School. And pending your questions, I'll show you a couple of pictures from what we've done between the last update and this. There's not a lot to show you, but there are some little nuggets to give you an eye what we've been doing besides planning this current capital budget that's coming up and beginning this summer. Questions? Okay. I was looking for another quote, but this one by Eric Hoffer really does the best job I've seen talking about the importance of what we do with our capital budgets. And there's two slides that I'll show you at the end that I think kind of highlight this idea that, you know, it's fairly easy for societies to get around big projects, but you really see what the strength of the society is in maintaining your construction efforts and your infrastructure long term. And of course, that's what we're trying to do with our capital budgets. And if I can get this thing to work. Oh, there we go. I just wanted to show you kind of the culmination of the roofing project we did up at Chapin High School. This was kind of a neat combination between our effort as well as new design and construction in maximizing our dollars in what the final product was on this roof replacement. It's not the most attractive, if you look at the bottom right, it's not the most attractive roof line facing Columbia Avenue out there. And we spent a lot of time trying to determine how we were going to handle that roof replacement when we did it. Should we get the roofs all in the same slope? Should we make it a metal roof? And of course, it made sense during the construction effort to come along and actually, without changing a lot of that roof line, adding an architectural feature to the school that culminated in, stealing my own thunder here, that. So rather than that ugly roof line, now you have, and you've all seen this, especially when you were up for the ribbon cutting at Chapin High School, but it really gives a nice architectural feature to that view from Chapin, or Columbia Avenue now. Slide. Just some before and after pictures at Dutch Fork High School completing that project. Slide with the tennis courts. And now to Irmo High School. Next slide. This was kind of a progress picture where they're doing their multiple coatings. Irmo High School had the old green color scheme, and we decided with the success we had at Dutch Fork to do the U.S. Open color scheme at Irmo High School as well. So next slide. And that's what the final product looks like. Next slide. This is what I was getting at when I talked about the importance of maintaining our facilities and our infrastructure. You know, the longer that pothole gets bigger and bigger over time, the more and more money you have to put back into repairing those. So over spring break, we did some work at Irmo Middle School to repair some areas that had some failing subgrade below the pavement and slide. And we did the same thing over at the Irmo High bus lot. So we snatch every opportunity when we're not operating to get some of this work done. And pending any questions, that's all I had for this evening.
Mr. Carlin, I believe we need to send you down to the State House.
Oh, yeah.
Little road infrastructure? Yes, ma'am.
Yep, that's a great quote as well. And these pictures, I think, you'd be a hit. You'd be our hero. Ms. Hammond.
I had a question.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
It's not really about, when you mentioned the landscaping at Irmo Elementary.
Yes.
It was, and you probably fixed it, but it was just good for the public to hear it. After we cleared that, there was an understanding that that all that area that is now beautifully landscaped, it brought a lot of snakes up on that, you know, and I had parents call me about worrying about that. And then I had a friend of mine that knows more about that, said, well, you know, the rats eat the snakes, and after you get all that out, that's why that was normal for that to happen. And had we taken care of, you know, being sure we put poison out or whatever you do, because they were actually coming up on the pavement, you know, which would scare me to death. But I know we've taken care of it, but I promised to ask that question. Did we do something where we don't have to worry about snakes coming up around?
I would love to tell you we're never going to have to worry about snakes.
No,
on that site.
I didn't mean it like that, but we did something where we had cleared that land.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's all I need to be able to tell them, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And then at Irmo High, the brick area that you've put right there at the corner, that was just to hide that, whatever those, maybe like some type of electrical units. It's very pretty. I just wanted to ask about it. I didn't know that.
Yes, ma'am. AT&T has a lot of their
Did they do that?
not so aesthetically pleasing equipment on that corner.
Right.
And I would love to take credit for that wall. I really can't.
It looks good.
It was the Booster Club at Irmo High School.
Well, I didn't know because I never heard us talk about it, but it
Yes, ma'am.
looks really good, and I wanted to bring
They,
it up.
they wanted to come and beautify that area. They brought that to Mr. Regal. And
Great.
of course, we coordinated with them to make sure all the approvals were made and all those kinds of things. But it really was it is a neat example
Yes,
of.
it looks great.
Of, you know, those school organizations, those organic school organizations coming together and saying, hey, you know, this is something we can pull together and do to
Thank
make
you.
our schools look better. So
I just wanted to
it's
be
a
able
great
to give
success
credit.
story.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Carlin?
I believe I'm correct that that project at the corner of Emory Lane and St.
Yes,
Andrews Road was done with all paid for by outside funds. It was not paid for by the district.
That is correct.
And I see Dr. Waldman here. She probably knows the details, but I believe that Linda Byers was involved in that, and it was a grassroots effort on the part of our Irmo community to get that done, and I think it looks great.
It really
Yes, sir.
does. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you to
very much.
all the folks who presented, and that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. Next.